This horrific case, which occurred in May 2021, shocked the entire world with its brutality. A 13-year-old girl was found murdered, and the police quickly identified the main suspect. When his identity became public, people were shaken to their core. In this video, we will tell you what happened to Tristen Bailey and why this event keeps all of America in suspense to this day. Tristen Bailey lived in St. Johns County, Florida, a short drive from the major city of Jacksonville. The area where she lived with her family is very picturesque and expensive. It is surrounded by forests and dotted with dozens of ponds, which, combined with the southern state's climate, creates excellent living conditions. Tristen's parents had 5 children, and the girl herself was known for her energy and determination. She was on her school's cheerleading squad, had many friends, and never lost her positive attitude. On Saturday, May 9, 2021, the United States was celebrating Mother's Day. The county's residents were preparing to take part in holiday events, but these plans were not meant to be. At around 10 a.m., Tristen's parents contacted the police to report that they couldn't find their daughter. Law enforcement immediately began a search, and a few hours later, they issued an official statement about the disappearance of the 13-year-old girl. Hundreds of local residents joined the search, combing the streets and wooded areas. Many of them were dressed in festive costumes and dresses, but that didn't stop them. By this time, reporters had arrived on the scene, which also helped spread the information about the missing child to the wider public. After 16 hours of searching, the police department held a press conference to deliver the grim news. Tristen Bailey's body had been discovered near a pond on Saddleston Drive, not far from her own home. She was found by a local resident who had seen the message about Tristen's disappearance and joined the search. In his statement, the sheriff revealed almost no details. He said that the police would continue the investigation and urged journalists not to bother the deceased girl's family during this difficult time. However, it soon became known that it was a murder. This news shocked the local community. In their prestigious neighborhood, crimes were a rarity, and no one could have ever imagined something like this. Hundreds of people gathered to support Tristen's family and honor her memory. Dozens of local residents also provided the police with footage from surveillance cameras installed on their homes. They were all thinking about who could have done such a thing to Tristen. And these recordings truly helped the police. On the morning of May 9, Tristen was spotted on a camera near the Durban Crossing Sports Center in the company of an unknown person. Judging by his appearance, he was about the same age as the girl. He was wearing shorts and a light-colored hoodie. The next recording, made by a camera on Saddleston Drive, captured them about half an hour later. They were moving towards the end of the street, which ends in a cul-de-sac and borders a wooded area. Nearly 2 hours later, the same camera captured the same person. But Tristen was no longer with him. He walked back in the opposite direction. And here was something strange. The person was carrying his shoes in his hands. The police quickly identified this person. It was 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, who attended the same school as Tristen and lived nearby. Furthermore, it was only a few minutes' walk from the location where the girl's body was found to Aiden's house. Detectives went to his home to ask him a few questions. They were most concerned about why he was walking barefoot on the street, just a few dozen meters from where Tristen was murdered. Aiden claimed that his foot was sore, so he decided to walk home barefoot. The police were not satisfied with this explanation and obtained a warrant to search his house. There, they found the very clothes he was captured in on camera next to Tristen. There were traces of blood on some of the items. On May 10, the sheriff announced the arrest of Aiden Fucci. He was charged with second-degree murder. At that moment, the police kept some details confidential, and the public was in a state of mass shock. Could a 14-year-old child really do something like this? Immediately after his arrest, Aiden posted a photo from the police car on Snapchat. The boy took a selfie and added a chilling caption, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristen lately?" Everyone was shocked by this act. as the message sounded like a mockery of the girl's death. For many residents of the area, this became confirmation that Aiden was indeed involved in her death. Soon, the police department reported that during interrogation, Aiden had changed his story several times, which further convinced the investigation of his guilt. At the same time, detectives revealed extremely gruesome details of Tristen's death. She had been stabbed 114 times with a sharp object. This indicated that the crime was premeditated and planned, and the killer had clearly prepared for it. The police couldn't find the murder weapon in Aiden's house, but search parties soon discovered a knife at the bottom of a local pond. Experts determined that it was the weapon used in the crime, but they were unable to lift fingerprints from the handle. To connect this crime to Aiden, the police needed more serious evidence than a suspicious camera recording or strange behavior after his arrest, and they soon got it. For several days, experts worked in an expedited mode to examine the items taken by the police from the suspect's home. Traces of Tristen Bailey's DNA were found on Aiden's shoes and t-shirt. As a result, the police had a substantial set of evidence, which was already enough to send the case to trial. However, in addition to this, investigators managed to obtain a partial confession from the teenager. Aiden admitted that he and Tristen were walking down the street together when an argument broke out between them. He then pushed the girl. She fell and hit her head on the ground. After that, Aiden allegedly went home. As you can understand, this version is far from reality, given the many contradictions. It is possible that this story was crafted by the suspect's lawyer in an attempt to reduce the charge to manslaughter. But with such a body of evidence, this was practically impossible. After interviewing Aiden's classmates and friends, the police uncovered another extremely chilling fact. The teenager had repeatedly said that he planned to take someone to the woods and kill them. None of his acquaintances thought it necessary to report this to their parents or the police. Everyone thought Aiden was just joking. It turned out he had been openly talking about his plans. Given that the crime caused a public outcry, the police and the court worked quickly. The first court hearing took place on May 11th. Due to coronavirus restrictions, it was held via video conference. Because of the suspect's age, they intended to try him on a charge of second-degree murder. However, the brutality with which this crime was committed forced the judge to take a 21-day pause to make a very difficult decision: whether to try the 14-year-old boy as an adult and charge him with first-degree murder. The punishment differs greatly depending on the degree, but more on that later. In court, Aiden looked bewildered. It was clear that he was struggling to hold back tears. Looking at such a sight, it is difficult to imagine that this 14-year-old boy is capable of committing such an inhuman crime. A week later, Aiden's lawyer asked to be removed from the case. He did not specify the reasons for this decision, but it might be quite obvious. Not every lawyer can defend a monster with a clear conscience. As a result, the young man was assigned a public defender. Meanwhile, the public sent a petition to the prosecutor's office and the governor's office. People demanded that Aiden be tried as an adult and that the charge be upgraded to first-degree murder. In just a few days, the petition was signed by more than 700,000 people. On May 27th, the court made its decision. Aiden Fucci would be tried as an adult on a charge of first-degree murder. The committee made this decision unanimously. The prosecutor told reporters that no one had any doubts when making the verdict, given the incredible brutality of the act. There are a few nuances worth mentioning here. The state of Florida has the death penalty, but it is only applied to individuals over 18 years of age. Aiden is only 14, so the maximum punishment he could receive was a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 40 years. On May 29th, the first court hearing on the new charges took place. There, he was only briefed on the case, and the final hearing was scheduled for June 10. During all this time, Aiden was held in a separate block of an adult prison. When a teenager is tried as an adult, they are always separated from adult inmates. I think there is no need to specify the reasons for such rules. On June 4, Aiden's lawyer submitted a document to the court in which his client pleaded not guilty. This meant that the court would have to prove his guilt, although no one doubted that the verdict would be guilty. The next day, the public was shocked by terrible news. Aiden's mother was arrested on charges of tampering with evidence. On May 9th, when Aiden was taken for questioning, his mother had washed the jeans on which traces of blood were found. The prosecutor told reporters that he would seek actual prison time for the mother. It is noteworthy that the police learned of her actions thanks to surveillance camera footage. It shows the woman washing the clothes, although the video quality does not allow for clear details. The court hearing on these charges was scheduled for late October 2021. As for Aiden himself, something strange happened to him. On September 1st, another hearing was held via video conference. The young man suddenly started talking about demons, asking where he was and what was happening around him. It all looked as if the boy had lost his mind. Many considered this behavior to be feigned.
Why am I here? I just want to talk to my mom and dad. What's going on? What's going on?
He rocks back and forth and mumbles about demons.
What's going on? I don't let you demons. I don't let you demons take my soul. You demons want to take my soul away. I don't let you demons take my soul.
If doctors declare Aiden mentally ill, he would have a chance to avoid a life sentence and, in the worst case, spend a few years in a secure medical facility. According to journalist reports, a forensic psychologist not connected to Aiden's case gave his assessment of his behavior. The specialist noted that, in his opinion, the suspect's behavior was not feigned. A notebook with satanic drawings was also found in Aiden's cell, and his girlfriend told investigators that the young man had previously complained of voices in his head, urging him to kill someone. All of this looked extremely suspicious. Why did Aiden behave normally for several months after his arrest, and then one day suddenly become disoriented, forget where he was, and start talking about demons? His behavior really suggests that the young man is trying to avoid a prison sentence. One only has to recall his mocking selfie in the police car, where he openly ridiculed Tristen's death.
Could only a cold-blooded monster do such a thing? Or did the voices in his head make that post for him?
Of course, a medical commission was appointed to make a final decision. If he was indeed faking it, he had already achieved something. The trial was delayed by another month. The next hearing was scheduled for October 28th. It should be noted that at this point there is no longer any doubt that Aiden Fucci did indeed kill Tristen Bailey. The whole question is about his motives. The idea that he was mentally unstable and acted on the orders of voices in his head is hard to believe. Most likely, the boy decided to try by any means necessary to avoid a life in prison. The court was soon to make its final decision, and we continued to follow this case.